I did not fall in love with him the first day I met him. I only made a mistake. I met my husband in the mall. It wasn't a grand love story. No fireworks. No dramatic music playing in the background. Just two young people standing near the shoe section, both pretending to be interested in shopping while stealing glances at each other. He was polite when he spoke to me. "Can I help you carry that bag?" he asked. I remember laughing because the bag wasn't even heavy. I think I laughed more because I was nervous. But he kept walking beside me anyway, talking about small things, traffic, work stress, the weather, life in general. He had this calm voice that made me feel safe without trying too hard. That was how my 15-year marriage started. Simple, warm, comfortable. For the first few years, I thought I had found happiness. He loved me loudly then. He would hold my hand in public. He would call me during lunch breaks just to ask if I had eaten. Sometimes he would bring small gifts home. Cheap things but meaningful. A hair clip. A book. My favorite snack. I felt seen. I got married young, and everyone told me I was lucky. I believed them. Until the children came. The first child changed my life in beautiful ways. The second child made life busier. The third child. That was when I started feeling like I was slowly disappearing inside my own house. I became a schedule. Wake up. Cook. Prepare the children. Go to work. Come back. Cook again. Help with homework. Sleep late. Wake up again. My husband was not a bad man. He worked hard. He left home early and returned tired. He believed he was loving me by building a future for us. He would tell me, "I am doing this for us." And I believed him. But I started feeling like I was living beside him, not with him. I wanted him to notice when I changed my hairstyle. I wanted him to ask me how I was feeling, not just how the children were doing. But I never said these things. I started building quiet resentment instead. Not loud anger. Quiet resentment is worse. It sits inside your chest and grows like slow poison. By the time I had my third child, I was emotionally exhausted. That was when I hired a nanny. I told myself it was because I needed help with the children. But deep down, I wanted time to remember who I was before motherhood swallowed my identity. The nanny changed everything. I started dressing better. I started wearing perfumes again. I started looking at myself in the mirror longer than I used to. One day, I went to the mall to buy baby supplies. The children were at home with the nanny, and for once I was walking slowly. No rushing. No school pickups. No cooking list running through my head. That was when I met him.
He was standing near the supermarket exit, holding a shopping bag, looking like someone who noticed everything about everyone. When I passed by him, one of my bags slipped from my hand. He was the one who bent down to pick it up. "Careful," he said softly. "You look like you carry too much already." I remember pausing. Not because he was handsome, although he was. Not because he was charming, although his voice was calm and warm. But because he looked at me like he could see how tired I was without me saying a word. He walked beside me to my car without asking too many questions. Just small compliments. Nothing loud. Nothing aggressive. "You are very beautiful," he said once, casually, like he was stating a fact. Not like he wanted something. Just like he noticed something others had stopped noticing about me. When he asked for my number, I knew it was a mistake. I stood there for almost a minute, thinking about my husband, my children, my marriage, my home waiting for me. Then I gave him my number anyway. That was the moment I knew something inside me was already breaking. The first message came that evening. "Did you get home safely?" I told myself I would not reply too emotionally. Just polite responses. Nothing more. But he kept texting. "Good morning. Hope you slept well. Have you eaten? You should rest more. No pressure. No demands. Just attention." And attention is dangerous when you have been emotionally invisible for years. Soon, I started talking. Not about small things. About everything. I told him about my marriage. About how my husband was a good man but always tired. About how he loved me through provision but forgot emotional softness. About how I felt like I was just another responsibility on his long list of responsibilities. I told him about the children. About the loneliness that comes when you are surrounded by noise but still feel invisible. I told him things I had never told my husband. That was my first real betrayal. Not physical. Emotional. Because I gave my emotional honesty to a stranger instead of my partner. And he listened. He did not correct me. He did not defend marriage values. He simply listened. And I felt lighter every time I pressed the send button. But what I did not realize was that emotional comfort can slowly replace emotional loyalty. Soon, my phone became my secret comfort. I started smiling more at my screen than at my husband. When my husband spoke, I would nod without really listening. When he tried to touch me, I would feel stiff inside, like my body had forgotten how to respond to him. He noticed. But he thought I was just tired. He kissed my forehead the same way he always did. And I stayed still. Not rejecting him. Just emotionally absent. The man from the mall kept getting closer. One day, he invited me to his home. I almost refused. But I did not. His house was quiet. Too quiet. No children's noise. No responsibilities running around the walls. He cooked for me. And I watched him move around his kitchen like a man who knew exactly how to take care of someone without asking for permission. When he served me food, I ate slowly. For the first time in years, I was not rushing to finish so I could go attend to someone else. That night, I did not just fall. I collapsed. Because I allowed myself to forget my marriage for a few hours. He touched my hand. I did not pull away. One thing led to another. I told myself I would regret it later. But in that moment, I only wanted to feel wanted. Not needed. Wanted.
When I got home, my husband was sitting in the living room. "Where have you been?" he asked. "I went to buy things at the mall," I said calmly. He nodded. He was too tired to suspect anything. But I felt like I was walking around my own house like a ghost. I started avoiding long conversations with him. When he talked, I would nod but not really listen. But when the other man texted me, I felt alive again. 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant. And the doctor's words felt heavier than any truth I had ever carried. Because I did not know which man was the father of the child growing inside me. And that was when I realized something terrifying. I had not just cheated on my husband. I had cheated on the life I built with him. After leaving the hospital, I sat inside my car for a long time before starting the engine. People walked past. Cars came and went. Life continued normally around me. But inside me, everything had changed. I placed my hand slowly on my stomach, trying to understand the reality that was now part of me. A child was growing inside me. A child whose father I could not confidently name. The drive home felt longer than usual. Every traffic light felt like time was giving me another chance to think, another chance to panic. By the time I got home, I had already decided one thing. No one could know. Not yet. Not until I was sure. That night, my husband greeted me the same way he always did. He asked how my day went. He asked about the children. He complained lightly about work. Normal conversation. Normal life. Normal marriage. And I sat there responding like everything was still normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. Every time he looked at me, I wondered if he could somehow see the truth written on my face. Every time he touched my hand, guilt tightened inside my chest. I started avoiding his eyes without even realizing it. A few days later, I told him I was pregnant. He froze for a moment, then smiled. A real smile. The kind of smile I had not seen in a long time. He stood up immediately and hugged me tightly. "This is good news," he said, his voice full of excitement. "We are having another baby." I tried to smile back. But inside, my heart was breaking quietly. Because while he was celebrating, I was silently counting months in my head, trying to convince myself that the timing made sense, trying to believe the child was his, trying not to remember the night that made everything complicated. The other man was the first person I told after leaving the hospital. His reply came quickly. Are you sure it's mine? I stared at the message for a long time. I didn't know how to answer that question, because the truth was, I wasn't sure whose child it was. For the first time since everything began, fear replaced excitement. The situation that once felt thrilling now felt dangerous. Very dangerous. I began to realize that secrets do not stay hidden forever, especially secrets that grow. From that moment, everything began to feel different. Pregnancy is supposed to be a time of joy, but mine felt like a silent countdown. Every day that passed made the truth feel heavier. My husband became more attentive after the news. He started coming home earlier when he could. He asked more questions about how I was feeling. He reminded me to rest. He even began helping more with the children. He looked happy, truly happy. Sometimes I would catch him smiling to himself while looking at me, as if he was already imagining the future. And each time I saw that smile, guilt twisted deeper inside me, because I knew something he didn't. The other man, however, reacted differently. His messages became less playful and more serious. Instead of sending light conversations, he began asking careful questions. How far along are you? What did the doctor say? Did you tell your husband yet? His words no longer felt comforting. They felt cautious, calculated. It was as if the situation had suddenly become real for him too. One evening he sent a message that made my hands tremble. Have you checked the dates properly? I knew what he meant. He wanted certainty. But certainty was the one thing I did not have. I began checking calendars repeatedly, trying to convince myself the timing pointed more clearly to my husband. But the closer I looked, the more uncertain everything became. The dates overlapped in a way that refused to give me peace. Sleep became difficult. At night I would lie beside my husband, staring at the ceiling, my thoughts running in circles. I started imagining every possible future. What if the child looked nothing like my husband? What if questions started coming? What if the truth came out years later instead? What if the secret destroyed everything? 15 years of marriage, 3 children, a home we built from nothing, family respect, stability, all of it suddenly felt fragile. One mistake had placed everything at risk. The other man began asking to see me more often, but meeting him no longer felt exciting. It felt dangerous. Each time my phone buzzed with his name, my chest tightened instead of fluttering. The attention that once made me feel alive was now reminding me of the problem growing inside me. I started replying less quickly. Sometimes I ignored his messages for hours. Sometimes I typed responses and deleted them before sending. The connection that once felt effortless was now complicated, heavy, risky. One afternoon, while I was helping my children with their homework, my husband walked into the room unexpectedly. My phone was on the table beside me. The screen lit up. His eyes moved toward it for just a brief second, but that second felt like forever. Who is that? He asked casually. My heart skipped. I picked up the phone quickly. Just someone from work, I replied. He nodded slowly, but this time something felt different. For the first time I saw a small trace of curiosity in his expression. Not suspicion. Not yet. But curiosity. And curiosity can grow. That night I realized something I had been trying to avoid. This situation would not solve itself. Sooner or later a decision would have to be made. And no matter what choice I made, someone would get hurt. Possibly everyone. One evening, I was in the kitchen preparing dinner while the children argued playfully in the living room. My husband had just returned from work earlier than usual. I forgot my charger in the bedroom, I said casually, wiping my hands on a towel before walking away. I didn't realize I had left my phone on the dining table. Unlocked. Face up. The message appeared quietly on the screen. Just a short notification. But enough. My husband did not intend to check my phone. At least that is what I later told myself. He only picked it up to move it away from the edge of the table. That was when the screen lit up again. A new message. From a name he did not recognize. I miss you. He stared at the screen for a few seconds longer than normal. Then another message appeared. Have you told him yet? Something inside him became still. Very still. He did not open the conversation immediately. He simply placed the phone back exactly where he found it. When I returned to the dining area, nothing looked different. He was sitting on the chair, scrolling through the television channels as if nothing had happened. If he had not asked the next question, I might never have known that anything had changed. Who is Daniel? My heart stopped, just for a second, but that second was enough. I looked at him, trying to keep my expression neutral. Daniel, I repeated, pretending to think. Yes, he said calmly. I saw a message from that name. I forced a small laugh. Oh, someone from work, I replied quickly. We were discussing a project. He nodded slowly, but this time he did not look convinced.